So this is a tip that saved me a great deal of time when it comes to logo design, particularly at the stage where you're exploring initial concepts. All too often I'll see designers sketching out letter by letter logo type without doing any kind of initial exploration using fonts. So it takes a long time if you're sketching out letters by hand to even gauge loosely what kind of direction is appropriate for the brand. And I find that by creating a page like this, where you've got a range of potential fonts, some variation between them, it saves so much time to be able to home in and say, well, something like this, nice and crisp and modern, is going to be more fitting for my brand. Or perhaps something like this, more traditional, that uses serifs. What kind of weight is going to feel right? You can do this, as I have on the screen at the moment, in just a few minutes by pulling out your favorite fonts. This isn't to say this will be the final selection, but by the time you finish this page, you've got a sense of a general direction you might head. If you compare that to the potentially hour you could spend sketching this out by hand, for me, there's really no comparison. This is a technique that can save a lot of time. So you could pull the font that you feel is most appropriate and take that forward when you begin fleshing some concepts out. But start with fonts. It really saves time. If I head along to the next artboard, these are the kind of things I would sketch out. So if I'm looking at a single letter or a brand mark, and I just want to quickly flesh out different ideas where I've really got to start from scratch and play with what works and what doesn't work, that's why I'd recommend sketching everything. But certainly when it comes to the logo type, the fonts you're thinking of using, even if later on you decide that you're going to do something bespoke, unless it's a script or a handwritten logo, I really recommend getting a starting point by standing on the shoulders of these professional fonts. Now for this particular project, if I move you on to the next stage of my development, so in this example here, you can see I've picked this out. I felt this was heading in the right direction. It's Futura PT. I've spaced it quite widely, and I'm loosely happy with that. I can see immediately it's got the tone, the look and feel that would be appropriate for the brand I'm creating. And then you could choose to bespoke it. So in this case, I've substituted the E for something a little more special. I quite like this. We've just got 3 horizontal lines. We've removed the stem of the E, and that just makes it feel a little more custom. I've popped London in place below. Again, Futura, but this time more widely spaced. By doing this, I'm kind of making some real progress with the look, the feel, the tone, and it would take such a long time to sketch all of this element by element, character by character, by hand. So I guess the point of this tip is give yourself a best head start you can. Create something that looks and feels as you want it to, and then you can invest the real time. Then you can start deconstructing things and creating custom elements. And if I skip ahead here to the next artboard, you'll see I do that for a lot of the concept exploration. I'm just pulling in fonts that I feel are loosely the most appropriate, and I'm pairing them with these fleshed out concepts. And it just means very quickly you can begin to get a sense for what has the right tone and what doesn't. So for me, there's a time and place to sketch things, and that was for this portion of the initial concepts. But when it comes to the type itself, to the fonts, this is a much faster way to quickly gauge the direction you want to head.